I feel like the focus is starting to shift off of me. Maybe in editing you'll fix it.
My question is for Meghan. Meghan, besides holder of briefcase 24 on Deal or No Deal, what do you think your most impactful role was?
Hey, thanks for having us on the show.
It's so awesome to be here. It's great.
I'm sorry.
It's not your fault. I kind of took you out of your natural habitat. I'm surprised you're still breathing.
Yes, that's right, friend. You see, my wife and
I
I
was totally like, you should write a book because your family's like stupid and then so are like journalists.
You really need to stop thinking in terms of palaces. We have to get jobs. I have to start auditioning again.
Oh yes, you were on the very famous show Suits. More popular in the States than even Friends, you told us.
The moment the South Park theme song hit the airwaves for its long-awaited season 27 premiere, fans were already holding their breath. Would the creators dare bring back the cartoon versions of Meghan and Harry? Was last year's royal roasting just the beginning? Turns out it wasn't just a flash-in-the-pan satire. Blink and you might have missed it, but sharp-eyed viewers caught something in the first 60 seconds that sent the internet into an absolute frenzy. A shadowy cutaway, a familiar red-haired silhouette, and a woman with a wide-brimmed hat sipping something suspiciously pink. It wasn't overt. That's what made it genius. South Park didn't need to say their names, the internet did it for them. Within minutes, TikTok and Reddit were lit up with freeze-frame screenshots. They're back, one post screamed. South Park just soft-launched the sequel. It didn't take long for fans to piece it together. This was no one-off callback. It was a full-on breadcrumb trail, and all signs point to Meghan and Harry being the target of an entirely new episode, one that insiders claim could air in just a matter of weeks.
It has been several months now since our beloved queen has died. All Canadians are finding it hard to go on. All Canadians, that is, except for our first guest, the prince and his wife.
Remember how explosive the first parody was? The worldwide privacy tour? The candle scent? The tell-all book that wouldn't end? That episode didn't just poke fun, it reshaped public opinion. And now it looks like Trey Parker and Matt Stone are ready to double down. Because the teaser wasn't just a visual gag, it was bait, a very deliberate signal that round 2 is coming, and it might be even more savage than the first. And fans are here for it. Comment sections were flooded with "Let's go." They survived the first dragging just to get roasted again, and this is what I've been waiting for since the wedding. The anticipation is off the charts, and the premiere barely even showed anything. That's how starved the public is for more Sussex satire. What makes it even more interesting is the timing. Meghan just soft-launched her new wine brand, Rosé of all things, and has been trying to pivot toward lifestyle influencer territory. Harry, meanwhile, has stayed unusually quiet, skipping interviews and avoiding cameras altogether. So for South Park to jump in now, right as Meghan's trying to rebrand, it's not just a cartoon episode, it's a heat-seeking missile.
It's so nice to have you back in London, Meghan. I've missed our little lunches.
We've never had lunch together, Kate.
Well, we must continue the tradition.
And let's be honest, South Park doesn't tease for no reason. When they plant seeds in a premiere, it's usually setting up something massive. Think back to how they handled streaming wars or pandemic specials. Every joke is calculated, every frame means something. And based on what we saw in that teaser, Meghan and Harry are about to be front and center once again, and this time it won't be about sympathy or second chances. It'll be about what happens when two public figures turn themselves into permanent punchlines. But that was just the teaser. Behind the scenes, things were already unraveling fast. Within minutes of the episode airing, things reportedly turned chaotic behind the scenes at Archwell. While fans were still sharing screen grabs and laughing over the not-so-subtle nod to Meghan and Harry, insiders say the Sussex camp was anything but amused. One source who's allegedly worked with Archwell's crisis team claimed Meghan immediately called her lawyer, and it wasn't a casual check-in. It was a full-blown emergency call, what the team internally calls red level, used only when they sense a reputational firestorm is about to ignite. What really triggered her, according to the same insider, wasn't just the cartoon cutaway, it was the realization that South Park's writers were clearly signaling they weren't done.
We want privacy! We want privacy!
Meghan, who reportedly still bristles at being turned into a walking candle scent joke, is said to be furious that the show would dare poke fun again, especially now when she's trying to reposition herself as a soft-spoken entrepreneur selling pastel branding and vineyard vibes. That anger allegedly spilled into a late-night scramble. Phones rang from Montecito to Manhattan, legal advisors were consulted, PR handlers began floating talking points to friendly outlets just in case things got worse, and behind closed doors there was growing panic, because if the teaser was that bold, what's actually coming in the full episode? One industry consultant who's worked with celebrity clients during media crises said the move made perfect sense. They're not panicking over what aired tonight, he explained. They're panicking over what's coming next. Because South Park doesn't tease unless they've got the follow-through locked and loaded. He added, "You don't get second chances with public perception after that kind of parody. If this next episode hits harder than the first, it could cement them as a cultural punchline, permanently, and Meghan knows that. She's not new to how perception works in Hollywood or in royal circles. Every meme, every gif, every comedy sketch, those moments can spiral, often faster than any glossy profile can fix. The first time South Park came for them, Archwell stayed mostly silent. But this time, it seems Meghan is determined not to let it happen without a fight."
I'm sorry.
It's not your fault. I kind of took you out of your natural habitat. I'm surprised you're still breathing.
Still, not everyone inside the Sussex bubble agrees on what to do. One rumored debate happening internally, whether to preemptively go public with a statement expressing disappointment or concern over another potential mockery. Others, though, reportedly cautioned against that approach. "You react, you validate it, you look like you're pressed," one aide allegedly warned. And in Meghan's world, image is everything. But even as they argue behind the scenes, the internet's moving ahead without them. Every minute that passes, the clip is spreading wider. Fans are speculating wildly. Edits are surfacing with Meghan's real-life voice over the cartoon frame. The silence from Archwell is growing louder by the hour. And Meghan knows what that means. The writers aren't just setting the stage, they're daring her to respond. And if the leaks are to be believed, the worst part hasn't even aired yet. The teaser was bad enough, but the alleged leak that followed? That's when things went from chaotic to catastrophic. Just 48 hours after South Park's premiere, a series of images began surfacing in private Discord servers and locked Twitter circles. At first, they looked like fan art. Crude sketches of Meghan holding a bottle of wine the size of her head, Harry sobbing into a pile of rejection letters.
Hey, thanks for having us on the show.
It's so awesome to be here, it's great.
But then came the kicker, a watermarked frame labeled Scene 14, Act 1. That's when fans and critics realized this wasn't some random spoof. These were internal storyboards, reportedly leaked straight from the South Park animation pipeline. And they were brutal. If the first cartoon took jabs at the couple's obsession with privacy while selling books and documentaries, this one seemed hell-bent on exposing the rebrand. According to one frame, Meghan tries to launch empathy in a bottle, while Harry holds a measuring cup labeled spare parts. The imagery is savage, exaggerated, and instantly viral. By day 3, those leaks were everywhere. Reddit threads were dissecting every drawing like a scene from True Detective. Was that Meghan standing on a vineyard made of broken Spotify logos? Was that Harry trying to film a TikTok apology while being chased by cartoon bees labeled public backlash? It was parody, yes, but it hit uncomfortably close to real headlines. And that's exactly why it stung. Behind the scenes, Archwell's team was allegedly scrambling to track the leak's origin. Some believe it came from a disgruntled freelancer. Others whispered it was a deliberate publicity tactic, either from within the show or from third-party PR handlers, trying to ramp up attention ahead of the full episode. Whatever the truth, Meghan's camp wasn't laughing.
I don't know what to do. How are we going to pay for school for Archie?
I have to tell you, I never realized so many things cost money. Like this chicken. I bet you had to pay for it.
Sources say there were immediate discussions about legal recourse, though as media experts were quick to point out, parody is nearly impossible to shut down, especially when it comes from a show with a legal team as battle-tested as South Park's. They've been sued by Scientologists, politicians, Hollywood royalty. One entertainment lawyer said, "If Meghan thinks she can scare them into silence, she's in for a rude awakening." And it's not just the legal angle, it's the timing. Meghan's rosé launch is still fresh and facing its own fair share of ridicule online. Pair that with Harry's retreat from the public eye, and you've got a perfect storm, one that South Park seems more than ready to capitalize on. The real fear? That this time the writers are going deeper. The first episode mocked their quest for privacy. This one, if the storyboards are legit, goes after their credibility, their branding, their legacy, and Meghan, who's long tried to control the narrative through glossy interviews and polished product launches, may finally be facing a fight she can't spin. But if Harry's reaction to the leak is any clue, they're not even close to ready for what's next. As the cartoon chaos spread across timelines and headlines, one person in Montecito reportedly took the leak harder than anyone expected, Prince Harry himself. While Meghan was said to be angrily strategizing with lawyers and publicists behind the scenes, insiders claim Harry took a more emotional turn.
So let me start with you, sir. You've lived a life with the royal family, you've had everything handed to you, but you say your life has been hard, and now you've written all about it in your new book, Where?
One former staffer who's still loosely connected to the couple's circle described the scene as genuinely concerning. According to this insider, Harry was seen pacing outside their Montecito mansion late into the night, earbuds in, phone clutched in his hand, speaking with what sounded like one of his former royal advisors, not a PR handler, not a celebrity agent, but someone from the palace days, the very people he publicly distanced himself from. And yet, that's allegedly who he turned to when things started to spiral. He didn't know who else to trust, the source claimed. He didn't want to admit it, but he needed guidance, and not the Hollywood kind. The real kind. the kind that knew how to survive a media storm without memes swallowing your reputation whole. People close to the situation say Harry has been unusually quiet in recent weeks. No interviews, no appearances, no public support for Meghan's wine launch. And while some chalked it up to a planned break, others now believe it was a growing sense of dread, that he knew South Park wasn't done with them, that something bigger was coming. And now that it's here, allegedly mocking everything from his book to his mental health advocacy, he's reeling. It's not just hurt feelings either. There are whispers that Harry was hoping to lay low until early next year, potentially rebooting his image with a more subdued public project. But with South Park allegedly dragging him back into the cultural spotlight, this time as a punchline, not a prince, that plan may already be in ruins. One particularly harsh alleged sketch from the leaked storyboards shows cartoon Harry trying to meditate while being pelted with wine bottles labeled Oprah, Netflix, and Spare 2 Still Spare. Fans laughed, but insiders say Harry didn't. He thought people would move on, one PR analyst explained, but they haven't. If anything, South Park reminded the public how ridiculous the whole situation still feels, and that reminder hit Harry hard.
I'm sorry, I'm just really stressed. We're completely out of money.
Maybe it's time we dip into your fortune from Suits.
There is no fortune from Suits.
Allegedly, his team made quiet inquiries to certain royal-friendly media outlets in the UK, not to give a statement, but to feel out the response. Would the palace defend him? Would anyone step in? The answer was a resounding no. Even those once close to Harry within the royal machine seemed to be keeping their distance, and with no one in his corner, not even William returning his messages, according to one unconfirmed rumor, Harry's isolation is reportedly deepening. Which raises the bigger question: if he's spiraling before the episode is even aired, what happens when the full thing drops? And what if it really is worse than last time? While Harry was allegedly spiraling in private, the real alarm bells were going off in corporate boardrooms. Meghan and Harry's brand, once positioned as the ultimate power couple rebelling against the crown, was already on shaky ground. But with South Park allegedly preparing another round of cultural humiliation, industry insiders say the Archwell empire is facing its biggest threat yet. And this time, the stakes go far beyond headlines. We're talking about money, millions of dollars. According to one marketing exec who's previously worked with luxury lifestyle brands, South Park's teaser may have already spooked potential partners. When your image becomes synonymous with parody, she explained, it becomes toxic to luxury advertisers. Brands don't want to be memed, they want elegance, exclusivity. Meghan selling rosé is one thing, but Meghan as a joke? That's commercial death. Sources say several upcoming collaborations Meghan's team had been quietly shopping around. Everything from wellness partnerships to digital content series are now being reconsidered, not canceled, but paused. And in the fast-moving world of brand deals, a pause can easily turn into a full pullout. The problem isn't just the show, it's the ripple effect. Late-night hosts, TikTok creators, even other celebrities start joining in once South Park sets the tone. One viral parody turns into a dozen. Memes flood timelines. Clips go viral. Suddenly, Meghan and Harry aren't just controversial, they're uncool. And that's a branding death sentence in Hollywood. One senior ad strategist put it bluntly: there's a difference between polarizing and parody. You can be polarizing and still be marketable. Think Kanye, think Elon. But once you become a cartoon, the respect vanishes. You stop being a movement, and you start being a meme. And the timing couldn't be worse.
Hi, I'm Meghan Markle,
And I'm Harry. Harry.
and we're royally screwed.
Meghan's team has allegedly been working behind the scenes on reviving her media presence with a softer, more curated image. The rosé launch was supposed to be the first step, cozy, feminine, quietly aspirational. But now, instead of sipping wine in a French lavender field, the dominant visual is Meghan's cartoon doppelganger, getting roasted in front of a global audience. Even internal Archwell staffers, according to one anonymous leak, are nervous. There's no plan for this, the source reportedly said. We've got strategy decks for political blowback, for negative reviews, even for another royal memoir. But we don't have a plan for being a punchline again. Not like this. And the outside pressure is mounting too. Netflix, already lukewarm after the couple's underwhelming follow-ups to their documentary, is reportedly monitoring public reaction closely. One executive source even told a media blog, "It's not our job to babysit reputations. If the public turns, they turn." Which puts Meghan and Harry in a terrifying spot. Because if South Park's next episode really is on the way, and it hits just as hard or harder than the first, it might not just bruise their egos. It could gut the very brand they've spent years trying to build. And unfortunately for them, the royal family seems perfectly content to let it happen. While Meghan and Harry's inner circle was reportedly melting down over leaked storyboards and potential sponsor fallout, the mood across the pond was surprisingly calm, cold even. Royal sources say the palace has no intention of intervening. No defense, no sympathy, just an eerie, pointed silence.
Andy, you gotta be kidding me. I've brought plenty of conflict to the show.
I'm sorry, Meghan. It's just not working out. All you talked about all season was your line of ketchup.
But according to whispers from longtime royal aides, that silence is anything but neutral. It's deliberate. One former courtier who still maintains connections inside Kensington Palace put it bluntly, no one's lifting a finger to help them, not after everything. That everything, of course, refers to the years of interviews, documentaries, and thinly veiled jabs that Meghan and Harry have made since stepping down. From Oprah's explosive sit-down to Harry's tell-all memoir, the royal family has been used as both backdrop and antagonist. Now that the Sussexes are under fire again, the palace has no appetite to protect them, and privately, some insiders are enjoying the spectacle. Allegedly, one senior royal aide was overheard chuckling about the cartoon coming back for seconds, while another reportedly joked, maybe South Park should handle the next coronation coverage. The digs aren't official, but they don't have to be. Royal etiquette is all about the wink, the nudge, the side-eye you can't quite quote. And right now, that energy is everywhere. But the most interesting reaction? Reportedly, it's coming from Prince William. According to one well-placed source, William saw the teaser clip and smirked. That's it. A simple smirk. But in royal terms, that's a paragraph. The same source claimed William finds it amusing, not because he hates his brother, but because it confirms what many in the royal orbit already believe, that Harry and Meghan have lost the plot. He sees this as the consequence of turning yourself into a brand instead of a person, the source said. You make yourself into a product, and then you're shocked when people start reviewing it, satirizing it, tearing it apart. There's also speculation that the palace has quietly instructed press liaisons not to comment under any circumstance, even off the record. The thinking, if South Park is going to roast the Sussexes again, let it burn. No need to fan the flames, but no reason to throw water on them either. And while Meghan may have once hoped that someone in the royal family would rise to her defense, insiders say those hopes are long gone. She thought her in-laws would be cruel in private and cordial in public.
Yes, that's right, friend. You see, my wife and I are totally like, you should write a book because your family like stupid and then so are like journalists.
One observer said, but it's the opposite now. The cruelty is the silence. Even more telling, no one from the royal rota, the trusted reporters who often speak the palace's unspoken truths, has come forward to challenge the satire. Not one. Not even the usual sources say the Queen would have been sad and routine. Just crickets. So as the internet erupts and the countdown to the next South Park episode ticks on, Meghan and Harry are facing their newest controversy alone. Not even the Crown wants to be caught standing next to them when the next joke lands. And from the looks of it, the punchline hasn't even hit yet. Once South Park so much as winks at a celebrity, the ripple effect across the comedy world is immediate, and this time it's turning into a full-blown avalanche. Within hours of the teaser airing, stand-up comics, late-night hosts, sketch creators, and even meme accounts were jumping on the Meghan and Harry train like it was an Olympic sport. And let's be real, no one wanted to miss the roast. TikTok was the first to detonate. Thousands of users started stitching together clips from the previous South Park episode with the new teaser, building entire theories about how Meghan's wine brand might be spoofed next. Edits comparing her empathy in a bottle concept to cartoon scenes racked up millions of views. The phrase "we still want privacy," the satirical battle cry from the last episode, exploded all over again. One user even created a fake trailer for the new South Park episode, featuring cartoon Meghan crying into a goblet of rosé, while Harry Googles how to cancel satire. It wasn't even real, but people believed it was. That's how hungry the internet is for more. Then came the late-night hosts. Jimmy Kimmel teased the teaser itself, joking that South Park's writers aren't just back, they're reloading. He cracked a one-liner about Meghan's rosé being the official drink of pretending not to read the comments, and the audience ate it up. Even Stephen Colbert, who's typically a bit softer when it comes to royal commentary, couldn't resist, joking that the Duke and Duchess of Montecito are reportedly shaken, probably by the tannins. But it didn't stop there.
Bravo fired me. Well, not really, but basically, they only offered me friend of the housewives for next season.
YouTubers with millions of followers began dissecting the alleged leaked storyboards frame by frame. Podcasts dedicated entire episodes to the upcoming roast, treating it like an event, not just another cartoon plotline. And on Twitter, comedians, influencers, and even verified celebs weighed in. One simply posted, "If South Park drops another Sussex episode, I might cancel therapy and just watch that on loop." The vibe was unanimous. People weren't just laughing at Meghan and Harry. They were laughing because it felt overdue. They've been untouchable for so long. One viral thread said, "This is the first time someone with a huge platform didn't flinch before calling it out." And the more they were mocked, the more fans leaned in. Parody accounts launched overnight, one calling itself Duchess of Chardonnay, another named Prince of Wine. Fake reviews of Meghan's rosé flooded Amazon and wine forums, with users pretending to cry into their glasses while reading Spare. But perhaps the most brutal moment came from a surprise source, a rising comedian at the Laugh Factory, who allegedly opened her set by saying, "Meghan's rosé pairs perfectly with hypocrisy, and an inflated ego tastes like victimhood with a finish of delusion." That bit alone reportedly got clipped, posted, and shared over 10 million times. The internet wasn't just mocking the Sussexes, it was celebrating the mockery. The whole thing had become fun, a social event, and that's the one thing PR teams can't fix. Because when the punchlines come faster than the press releases, no one waits for your statement. They just hit replay. And from what insiders claim, Meghan's team is watching all of it and taking notes. By the end of the week, it was clear to everyone, fans, critics, insiders alike, that another South Park episode mocking Meghan and Harry wasn't just likely, it was inevitable. And while the internet was busy remixing rosé labels and resharing clips from the last cartoon roast,
So you hate journalists? That's right. And now you wrote a book that reports on the lives of the royal family. Right. So you're a journalist.
sources say Meghan's team was scrambling behind the scenes to blunt the damage before it even aired. The first idea reportedly floated, a surprise sit-down interview. Not with Oprah this time. Those bridges are rumored to be singed, but with a more sympathetic, lower-profile outlet. The goal? To humanize Meghan again, to recenter the narrative around mental health, resilience, motherhood. There were talks of including Harry, but insiders claim that idea got shut down almost immediately. He's not in a good headspace right now, one source said. Putting him in front of a camera would be a disaster. Still, the PR machine was desperate for options. A carefully timed charity appearance was proposed, maybe a visit to a women's shelter or children's hospital. Something emotional, visual, and undeniably positive. But even that got pushback. Multiple outlets allegedly refused early access, not because they didn't like the cause, but because they were terrified of becoming the next meme if South Park referenced it. And that's the chilling part. Even the media is hesitating. One digital editor at a legacy publication reportedly told her team, "We're not touching Meghan until that episode drops. We don't want to publish a puff piece on Wednesday and get torched by cartoons on Thursday." So Meghan's camp began floating smaller ideas.
Dad, do you have any cash for a cab? Oh, look, Grandma's on the money. I never noticed that before.
Maybe a heartfelt Instagram video, maybe a handwritten letter campaign, but none of it stuck. Every pitch felt reactive. Every concept felt like a bandage on a leaking ship. And worse, every minute spent trying to spin a new narrative only reminded the public that the old one was crumbling. Sources say Archwell's internal comms team started sending daily sentiment reports, essentially tracking how the public felt about the couple in real time. And by Friday, the tone was unmistakable, not just critical but mocking. Even Meghan's usually loyal allies were quiet. No Instagram stories from former co-stars. No public statements from podcast friends. One high-level media contact reportedly sent a single-word reply to a request for coverage. Can't. Why? Because everyone in the entertainment world knows exactly what South Park is doing. They're circling. They've already drawn blood, and they're not done.
She hates delete.
You need to knock it off, and you're hitting everyone with that table.
Any attempt to spin Meghan as a victim now risks being referenced directly in the episode, animated, exaggerated, and broadcast to millions. One strategist put it perfectly. Every move they make right now is a setup. They're playing chess against satirists, and they're still thinking in checkers, which leaves only one question. If you can't do damage control, do you brace for the hit and say nothing? Or do you try one last move and hope? Just hope it doesn't get animated. Because according to one Hollywood insider, the creators aren't just watching the headlines, they're waiting for a reaction. And every nervous move Meghan makes, it's only feeding their next joke. If Meghan and Harry thought a legal warning or media silence would scare off South Park's creators, they clearly haven't been paying attention.
And please stop sending me samples.
I hear you, Andy. I'll amp it up. I'll smash a wine glass. I'll tell Kyle she has Munchausen syndrome. I'll accuse Dorit of doing coke.
Trey Parker and Matt Stone aren't just immune to celebrity outrage, they practically feed on it. And according to insiders close to the animation team, the duo has been aware of the rising backlash, and they're loving every second of it. They've been doing this for over 25 years. One former Comedy Central executive explained, "You think they're gonna blink because of a wine label and a Montecito panic attack? They've been sued by billionaires, shadow banned by entire religions, and still kept going." Meghan and Harry aren't scary, they're inspiration. Publicly, neither Parker nor Stone has said a word about the teaser. No interviews, no social media hints, nothing. But sources claim that's entirely intentional. The silence is part of the buildup. They don't tease unless they're ready to deliver, one production insider said. And right now, they're sitting on something big. They know the anticipation is doing half the work for them. Legal experts, meanwhile, have made it crystal clear.
We just want to be normal people. All this attention is so hard. Isn't it true, sir, that your questionable wife has her own TV show and hangs out with celebrities and does fashion magazines?
Meghan and Harry don't have a leg to stand on. Parody is protected, satire is untouchable, and South Park is the textbook example of both. Even if they wanted to sue, one media attorney told a gossip site, they'd get laughed out of court. And worse, any legal action would just guarantee more airtime, more jokes, more headlines. And here's the part that's got Meghan's camp especially rattled. Sources claim Parker and Stone already predicted the backlash, that they wrote it in. One insider with knowledge of the script in progress said the upcoming episode might even include cartoon versions of Meghan's team trying to issue takedown notices, only to be met with even more ridiculous cartoon consequences. It's classic South Park. a loop of satire that eats the real-world reaction as part of the punchline, and Meghan, allegedly, walked right into it.
And you know what else? To hell with Canada! We are leaving! We'll go find some quiet place where we can be normal people! Come on, wife!
Even Comedy Central seems to be leaning in. No one's pulling back on promotion. No executives are asking for edits. In fact, there are whispers that they're prepping for a full episode drop, not just a mid-season reveal. If they air this as a feature-length satire, one streaming analyst said, it could pull numbers that rival their pandemic specials, the public's that invested. But maybe the most brutal sign that Parker and Stone are unbothered? A quiet joke slipped into a recent live Q&A session. When asked about where they find inspiration, Parker reportedly laughed and said, "Sometimes you don't have to look for it. It shows up in a pink wine bottle and asks for privacy." The crowd roared. They didn't name names. They didn't have to. Everyone knew exactly who they were talking about. And that's the problem for Meghan and Harry.
We can be the people we talked about being, with no more worries about how we look or the image we project to people. What matters is what we have on the inside.
You can't control satire. You can't outpace parody. And when the creators stop seeing you as royalty and start seeing you as recurring characters, you're no longer the narrative. You're just the joke that keeps writing itself. And from what insiders claim, the punchline is coming very soon. So now the question hanging over Hollywood, Buckingham Palace, and every group chat in between is painfully simple. Can Meghan and Harry survive another round of animated humiliation? Because this time, it's not just about one joke or one episode. This time, it's about a pattern, a shift in how the public sees them. And that shift may be irreversible. The first South Park parody was a cultural earthquake. It marked the beginning of what many called the Great Eye Roll, a moment when even neutral audiences started questioning the Sussexes' constant narrative of victimhood, reinvention, and public-private contradiction.
Who's that?
That's your nephew, Archie.
You're pulling my leg. Why have we not met before?
You've met him like 1,000 times.
But back then, they still had goodwill. There was still curiosity. Now, the tone is different, sharper, more dismissive. The second this new teaser dropped, it wasn't "how could they do this to Meghan?" It was "ooh, here we go again." The collective sympathy has morphed into collective side-eye, and the timing couldn't be worse. Meghan's brand relaunch, this soft, wine-sipping, feminine empowerment arc, is being mocked before it even has a chance to take root. Her rosé line, which was supposed to signal a pivot into lifestyle credibility, is now a punchline, a cartoon bottle, a meme. And Harry, who once stood as a symbol of mental health advocacy and royal bravery, is being redrawn as a helpless, brooding caricature of regret. Insiders say this is exactly what Meghan feared, that after years of media control and polished interviews, their story would slip out of their hands and become something else entirely. Not their version, not the palace's version, just everyone's joke.
So all you'd have to do is Instagram yourselves using my ketchup. It'd be a huge help.
I see. Well, that's something we'll definitely think about.
And the ripple effect goes even deeper. According to industry sources, one of Meghan's potential documentary projects, a fashion-forward behind-the-scenes look at her creative process, has already been indefinitely shelved by a major streamer. The reason? Too much noise, too much mockery risk. Even talent agents are getting quiet. One rep allegedly told a new client to avoid associating with Meghan's brand until the smoke clears. Meanwhile, over in the royal camp, the silence continues. But it's not just apathy, it's strategy.
Well, it's an apartment, so...
Yes, an apartment palace, I know that. Lots of tiny palaces inside one big palace.
Courtiers reportedly believe that letting Meghan and Harry face this media reckoning alone reinforces a quiet lesson. You can leave the crown, but don't try to replace it with content, especially not content that bites the hand that once fed you. And now that Meghan and Harry are no longer perceived as brave truth-tellers, but rather as overexposed influencers trying to spin every setback into a redemption arc, their cultural standing is wobbling. Badly.
Thanks. Okay, see you later. Oh, would you pick up some milk?
So what happens if this next South Park episode really lands? What if it's the final nail in the brand's credibility? What if Meghan and Harry stop being controversial and start being irrelevant? Because that's the ultimate risk, isn't it? Not just mockery, not just backlash, but indifference.
Why did you bring that with you again, Harry?
You know, in case someone wants a massage, I'll do a few out calls.
So now it's your turn. Do you think the Sussex brand can recover from this? Or is this cartoon comeback the beginning of the end? Drop your thoughts below, like, subscribe, and stay tuned. The next video is waiting, and you won't believe what's coming next.